Hey, this is Carson. I wanted to jump in before this episode because I wanted to give a quick warning. We had some connection issues during this episode, so if you hear some jumps or cuts or pauses, that's probably why. So enjoy this episode. Special shout out and thanks to Gilbert Dionne for joining us for this episode.
All right, welcome to another episode of At Witt's End. I'm Ken. Carson's with us. He's 6,000 miles away. This is episode 65 and a special episode. We have a guest today. He is, about 2,000 miles away and 2 hour difference. So it's 3 time zones we've got going on. And our guest today is Gilbert Dionne. And I call him Bert. I think there's about 5 versions of your name, and I came across one, and I feel bad. I want to use it now. Gilbert.
Correct.
Is that the way to pronounce your name?
Yes, it is. But where all the meanings, because being a French Canadian, born and raised in Drummondville, Quebec, it's Gilbert. But for around the world, it's translated in English as Gilbert.
Gilbert.
Using the word Gilbert was not really I always felt like I was eating Gilbert grapes, or I always thought it was not appropriate to use my name under Gilbert. So
yeah, it almost sounds like a cartoon character. But, and I don't want to get on a set, but Bert, I like, yes. That works. That's how I know you.
And that's how I've used that nickname, short for Gilbert. And some of the players on the American side, when I played in Cincinnati, Ohio, and with Greensboro Monarchs, they realized, I think we're going to call you Bert. So I'm like, sounds good to me.
Yeah. What about, I think I used to call you for a while, Gilbert.
Yes.
That's not French then. So it's
No.
Gilbert. No emphasis on the Bert. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us. I know it's been difficult trying to get everybody together. It is Memorial Day in America. You guys celebrated in Canada Victoria Day, similar holiday last week. Right. So thanks for joining us. Little backstory. When I first met Bert, I had no idea who he was. And I don't want that sounds kind of, but I didn't know your background. I just thought you were a guy. We're playing golf together. We have a mutual friend, Andre. And, you hit your first drive and go, damn, this guy can hit the ball. And I think Andre said, well, yeah, he hits like a hockey player. Oh, okay. And then later on, I think you guys mentioned your background. And I was kind of surprised on something you said. You are a veteran of the NHL. You played for the Montreal Canadiens. And you played the last year of the last Stanley Cup Canadian team, Montreal Canadiens, 1993.
Correct.
And I was a little bit shocked by that. I love watching hockey and seeing it, but I can't say I'm a big fan, kind of like a lot of people in the U.S., I would think, especially the southern part. I was shocked that is your national sport. When I think of Canada, I think of hockey. When I think of hockey, I think of Canada. And the fact that you guys hadn't won since 1993, I was like kind of bummed. And I got to admit, current Stanley Cup, I'm kind of rooting for Canada again. So it's not the team I would have liked from Canada to be in it, but there's only one left. So that's kind of where you're at.
Yeah. And if we can expand to that, it's been over 30 something years right now. Frustrating. Yes, my name keeps popping up. So it's an honor, but yet a disappointment because you're kind of like, wait a minute, that's enough. We need to cut back to Canada. But with all due respect, let's not forget also that when Vegas won their championship, I think they had 16 Canadian hockey players on the team. So technically, sometimes we cheer for the next team, American team that has the most Canadian players on it.
Yeah, well, and to that point, I made a list of hockey players I knew as a kid that I collected, cards from, and I wasn't really into hockey, but there was a period I collected all the cards. And, Bobby Hull and or Bobby Orr and all those guys. Then I realized none of them were American.
Correct.
And I was going to ask you a question later on, but maybe it's appropriate to ask you now. Who is the greatest American hockey player?
Well, during my era, it was Mike Modano. He became the first Hall of Fame type of players there. You got also the Brett Hall came in after that. Now you got the Jerry Roenick.
I thought it was Brett Hall, but they said technically he's not American.
Yeah, I think he was born in
Ontario.
Yeah.
His dad played for the Blackhawks, so they moved.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, the Hockey Hall of Fame is here in Toronto, Canada, and there's so many. If anyone travels to Canada, come to Toronto, you got to go visit because I'm telling you right now, that history it's in there. They tell you
Yeah.
who's in there. They tell you who's Hall of Fame from the first goal in history to everything. But I'm not a hockey buff that crazy that sometimes I lose
Yeah.
track. That you said, like the American-born players ever since the Team USA, Canada Summit, all this stuff, the hockey's gone way better for the United States,
Yeah.
from the college program to high schools to where we're at. And that is good for hockey. That is very good for hockey.
Well, I did look it up, and they listed the number one American-born hockey player as a name I had no idea. It's a guy named Hobie Baker.
Okay,
Do you know that name? It goes back to the early 1900s. He was a college player who turned down a contract with the Canadiens to play for $20,000 back then.
Yeah. I think it's a Hobie Baker Award or something like that. I'm
I
not
think
sure, out in college somewhere, but I'm not sure.
there used to be a bar and restaurant in Santa Barbara called Hobie Baker's. That's the
Okay,
only
there we go.
Yeah, there you go. But
It's as far from hockey as you can get.
Yeah, it is. Santa Barbara is not a hockey town, and I didn't even know Hobie Baker was a hockey player. But I did want to ask you, because we do have mutual friends, and Stefan, Andre's son, billeting, over the years I talked to him about it. How does a kid from Drummondville, that's where you're from, get from starting playing maybe on the ice in the backyard to the NHL in Canada? Because in the United States, say with, trying to make it in baseball to the MLB or football, you play youth sports, you go to high school, then you go to college, then hopefully you get drafted. In Canada, it's a little different. You go away, you leave your home.
Correct. So obviously, as you play within your minor hockey association at an early age of 6 years old, your plan is to stay in your city and perform at the high levels as you can, which now we call the age level of U18 or U17. So when you become almost in the high school years, this is where you probably separate the ones that really want to try to play some hockey and make a career of it, or the ones just wants to stay home and have a career like as a policeman or a firefighter or whatever you want to do at that young age, between the age of 15 to 20. So if the opportunity is not there in your local area, this is where you sit down with the family. You could possibly make a decision. There's what you call in every sports, there's a scout and scouts program across Canada, across the world, and have an opportunity, have a chance. So for me, Quebec, the province of Quebec didn't really have a chance for me at that point to try to see where I could end up with my career. So I moved out of Quebec and went to the province of Ontario to play my junior hockey.
Yeah. And also I found it interesting. You didn't speak English.
No, not a word of English. I'm still struggling.
You still, yeah. I was going to say.
Well, it's better than your
French. I just thought you had a cool accent, but I didn't know it was because you couldn't speak English.
It gets worse when I talk to my family. When I go back to Quebec, come back, it's all broken accent again. It's terrible.
So does your family pretty much French speaking then when you go back to Quebec?
All based out of Drummondville. My older brother, Marcel Dionne, also a retired Hockey Hall of Fame, top 100 of all time.
Marcel, I should mention that too.
He did pretty much that same step, but we're 19 years apart. So a 19-year difference in age. Marcel is going on his 75th birthday, I believe, this summer. So, and I'm 54. So it is very big gap of having an opportunity to both siblings out of 8 make it.
Well, you had 8?
Yes, family of 8, yes.
So, and I believe you're the baby, right?
Correct. I'm the youngest of 8, yes.
So out of curiosity, your father's name is Gilbert.
Correct, yes.
Marcel didn't get to be the junior Gilbert. Why you?
I don't know. I think I was actually this point. I told my late mother, I go, why wouldn't you pick another name? She goes, well, I could have called you Bob, but I said, we're number 8. So you're number 8. We decided that Gilbert Jr. So I'm like, all right, we'll stick with it. And I'm very proud that running the name of the family still. So.
Now, is Marcel's, is that a family name?
Yes, Marcel Elfage. Okay. So his middle name is Elfage, which is very, very unique as my late grandfather.
I saw that, and I was embarrassed to say I had no idea how to pronounce it.
That's exactly. Stick with it. That's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Yeah. And I saw a quote where I think you said your brother was the most influential, but the brother you really didn't know, because I mean he was an adult playing hockey when you were a kid.
He was gone in Detroit. I was 9 months old. Really look up to him, but when he moved to LA in California, and this is what happened in sports and in hockey. Like it's And I want to tell the audience too, like it's just not hockey, it's baseball, football. There's a sacrifice to be had. A short-term sacrifice. Your sports could last hopefully 20-year career, which is really rare, but an average of hockey, for instance, it's 3 to 5 years. So you dedicate your time, your family, you sacrifice, you leave home at an early age. I left at 14 years old and never went back. That was a decision that pretty much was raised on my own, and with good surrounding people, like you surround yourself and trying to make the best decision you can as a young adult to see where can this take you in life. And by all means, some players have gone very, very long route to get to the NHL. Some players like myself was a little longer than others. Another first round pick. Give me a chance, please. I have to prove myself. So let's all be making sure we all understand that it's not the glory of the $1 million contracts that you see. It's the ones that really try hard. And you all know, even there with baseball and football and North American football, it's unbelievable how very tiny chance even a basketball player can make a career.
What? Yeah, I just happened to be with some folks yesterday celebrating the weekend, and they actually Coach Carson, my other son, and we were talking about a mutual friend who's in MLB for the Giants, got his big contract. But you have to have the skill, you have to have the passion and desire, but then you need luck. Yeah. And I think in any pro sports, I mean, timing is everything, because we have another mutual friend who did make it to the big leagues, but wasn't there long because of injuries. So yeah,
it's opportunity. I call it an opportunity. I always thought, did Marcel help me a little bit? Yes, he did. I mean, to make the move, we had to know someone in Ontario that could take a chance and, you know what I'm saying, get billeted, feel comfortable. You're going to be going to school. Like there's a process there. You just can't decide, I'm leaving, I'm going here, and good luck.
Right.
An opportunity before you move from your home.
But I also saw where a lot of people questioned, and they said your other players, coaches, and other families were tough on you because of who your heritage, who your brother was.
Yeah, it's okay. But you know what? That's who made me who I am today. Like, you got to take it. And thank goodness we didn't have social media like they have today, because I don't know. I wouldn't keep my tongue in my pocket. I can tell you that. I would defend.
Well, I think most hockey players probably wouldn't. But I mean, you got a pretty good presence on social media. People should follow Bert. He does this thing where he points and then asks everybody where he's at. So We'll have to throw out the name. But of the 8 kids, just you and Marcel hockey players?
Yeah, the old and next to Marcel, there's about a year gap is Ronnie. So Ronnie did the same route as Marcel did. But unfortunately, just I think there was a little bit more pressure on him, obviously. Both brothers moving to St. Catharines, Ontario, trying to play some junior hockey. And my mom would say, said she thought Ronnie had a little bit more talent for some reason. Right.
Her favorite.
Yeah. Somehow, probably she was pushing a little harder because she knew Marcel was more of a natural. His ability and skills were a lot more natural than Ronnie. So, unfortunately, Ronnie had to come home and go work with my late dad, at a steel factory. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did your dad play hockey?
No, families. My parents never played hockey, never skated. I think we took it from, obviously, the province of Canada, like Quebec, that is very hard. There's outdoor rinks all the time. They built, in the fall. We have hard winters, so every parish homes or houses and schools, they put an outdoor rink out there for us kids to get out there and go play some sports. And I think that was what I call it, an advantage from the rest of the world, because we would just go out there and play hockey.
Yeah, it's part of the culture of the area.
Exactly. And like you live in the States, same thing. I had to adjust. I was the only one with the hockey net in the driveway. Let's get the basketball net. And sure enough, here comes the basketball net. And, just attracting the kids in the neighborhood to play some basketball. So.
Well, that's why I'm somewhat of a traditionalist. So it's, I grew up, everybody that played hockey was in that snow belt or Canada. It's tough for me for like the Florida Panthers. I mean, it's Florida, Vegas. Yeah. Even though, great teams. So it's always like, man, I don't know. They're playing in the desert. It's ice hockey. Come on. So definitely much more part of the culture. And then I think hockey kind of took off when Gretzky came to the Kings.
Yeah.
And it was this
there for a few years. He trying to Jerry Boss, the late Jerry Boss, and got him in the scout, get him to the league. Let's see where we can expand. But LA was way out there. They were by themselves. Like there was nothing. Well, I'd like spend team nearby for Marcel to kind of, get the state of California, everyone buy into it. But at least Marcel lasted as long as he could. the terrible color of the yellow jerseys and the purple. And now it's the jersey you can't find. It's the most wanted jersey out there. But, he did try it. And I was so proud of seeing Marcel made a long career in LA. And with the likes of Magic Johnson and the Raiders were there.
Showtime.
Like, holy cow, here's Marcel with a tuxedo on and representing his LA Kings. So, but yes, when Wayne came, I think it was perfect timing for the NHL to expand, and all of a sudden Anaheim buys in, San Jose's buying in.
I think too,
all around.
The timing was right because that's when kind of rollerblading was introduced, and all of a sudden you had kids playing hockey on the street.
Roller hockey
in the middle of summer, LA summer. So I think the timing was right, and that's when I think it kind of took off. And then it was LA. So Wayne married an actress. They were celebrities. But in fact, with Marcel and Wayne, and even you, a hockey player. So Marcel went into the Hall of Fame with what team?
With the LA Kings.
And then Gretzky went in with the Oilers?
I presume so, because that's where he made his era, right? That's where he won 4 Stanley Cups, with Edmonton of the 80s, breaking all the records, Although I know he did break the record with LA to surpass Gordie Howe, but it makes more sense for the hockey gods to say, Wayne, you're going to retire as the Edmonton Oilers. And even though you could have had the choice, maybe, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
We see him more as an Edmonton Oilers, obviously.
Well, and then getting to you, because I saw one quote where they said you were a true Montreal Canadien, the straw that stirred the drink or something like that of the Canadiens. But I mean, you played with Philly and the Panthers, right?
Yeah, I had a little short sting with the Panthers a few months into the playoffs. So
go ahead, Carson.
Did you grow up a Habs fan?
Me personally, yes and no. So we had TV on, and the Canadiens were on at all times. But if we track back during the time of Marcel's era, there was a great hockey player of the Guy Lafleur, Le Démon Blanc. They call him in Montreal, number 10, the late Guy Lafleur. Yeah. What we would call it, the media will call them nemesis, right? They were always toe-to-toe for championships. They were always trying to get the scoring title, within each other all the time. But Marcel was out west, so Marcel would come and play out in the east here to Quebec, to Montreal, do his things, and then he would leave. And then sometimes some comments were a little bit out of hand from the for the media, for the journalism aspect, and I just didn't like the Canadiens at all for what they would say or quote on Marcel that we knew as a family was totally wrong. But it is what it is, right? A quote is a quote. Yeah. You just leave. Sometimes even myself as Montreal, I express a few words that didn't mean to come out that way, but it came out, and then you're just trying to track back, and it makes it worse.
I saw where both you and your brother, I guess with any athlete, the media takes something and just jumps on it. I was going, that doesn't sound like Bert.
Yeah.
I don't know Marcel, but I don't think he's like that.
Yeah, but like you said, these journalists reporters get a job to do. Did my expression from English to French, did that come out? Because sometimes it doesn't make sense. You say something in French, but in English, it's a little more sarcastic, a little more like a joke. And you go like, okay, this was way too serious. What I'm reading in the paper here, what's going on? So, anywho, it's still
translations never work. Translations never work correctly.
No, it just didn't make sense. By all means, luckily, speed things up. I get drafted by the Canadiens. I was disappointed. Everyone's going, why were you disappointed? Do you think I got drafted in 90 there. They just finished winning the cup in 86, and they lost in the finals in 89. What are the odds? What are the odds in the lineup here? None. So, like you would think, right? The big teams like you want to get drafted by the Lakers? No, you got no chance. You want to get drafted by the Yankees? No, there's no chance. Those are the things without saying rudely that I didn't want to. I didn't like the Habs. It's just the odds were like, wow, this is going to be a tough lineup to crack.
But they actually said after their defeat the previous season, you helped rebuild the team. You were kind of a spark.
I came in as a young rookie, could care less of what was happening, and I just wanted to play some hockey, enjoying life, enjoying playing hockey. I've never changed my personality, even though they tried. They might have cut my career short, but why? Why portray somebody that you're not? I really enjoyed my time in Montreal. I won the cup. I know that during that playoff run was fantastic for me, did what I had to do, respected our coach's decision, respected our veteran. And that's what makes a team. That's
Mm-hmm.
what makes you better than other teams, and how you prepare yourself and believe in the program of your coach, your coaches, and the management gives to you as tools, and then you just go out there and do it.
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned earlier, I can't say I was really a hockey fan, probably because I'm knowing you and Andre. I'm closer now and like watching the game, been to a few games. But I got to ask you, what was it? The Stanley Cup is like the holy grail. Even people that don't know hockey, and I don't want to say could care less, they know the Stanley Cup. There's a lot of unique traditions about it. I mean, it travels everywhere. It has great stories. But to lift that above your head after winning it had to be like, one of the greatest moments of your life.
It's unbelievable. And I remember it's 35 pounds. I almost dropped it. I was exhausted, and I'm going to win it again. Like, you think, well, I'll win this again anyway. I'm a rookie. I should have 10 years ahead of me. It is the hardest trophy to win. Let's not forget that you have to wear some funky equipment, like especially the skates. Like, it's, at least other sports you're on your 2 feet and you can run,
Yeah.
or and hockey you're on these blades, very sharp blades, and you're gliding through ice and holding a hockey stick and the puck. So your hand-eye coordination has to, and it's physical, right? Let's not forget, and it's a physical sports. Winning it, and till this day, Kenny, is I have friends around the alumni leagues and guys around, and they're looking at me and I'm like, they've won, they've played thousands of games. Marcel played over 1,000
yeah,
games.
your brother, yeah.
Never won the cup. I played about 300 games, won the cup. And at the end of the day, they bring you back to reality. They bring, hey, Bert, can you believe you won? And they said on top of this, goes, you won with the Canadians. And it just dawns on me, right? I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I won with Anaheim. Nobody knows about Anaheim, Gilbert. You won with the original six. So it's it wakes you up. It wakes me up during these events.
That's why I think when I learned that in the golf cart, I go, what do you mean you were on that team? The last one, the Canadians sport. And you won it. So, I mean, you're in the books forever, man. You're in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
You're on that trophy. So, but yeah, you mentioned the equipment too. I mean, this jersey, I guess you call it a sweater, though. It's not a jersey.
Yeah, jersey. That's fine. Yeah, you can call it a hockey jersey. Yep.
Yeah, but the skill needed to play at any level of hockey, I mean, you're chasing a small puck, a donut around. You're on ice. You're right. You're on a blade. I mean, I can skate, but I couldn't skate backwards worth a damn. And the speed out there, after a couple of beers at a hockey game to try and follow that puck,
yeah,
in the stands is difficult. So it's one of the most fascinating sports. Yeah, no. Well, I did see a critic of yours say that, Gilbert did not have a lot of speed.
No, and that's true. I always had to work hard for my skating, and that was an excuse that scouting and coaches use all my life. But I could put the puck in the net, though. I could grind in the corners. I could,
that's what mattered. Yeah,
contribute to something. And today, you look at it, and some players are not overly can skate, but we adapt to that situation in a better position that you can. So I've played with guys would skate 100 miles an hour by me, but forget the puck, right? They couldn't coordinate themselves. But that's old news. That's old story. I just trying to tell people I have to work hard for my skating all the time. And some guys are just glides out there, like a Paul Coffey, like so natural, like Eric Cole from Carolina. I just played with him last week. Like, it's amazing how natural these guys are. Just, it comes natural. And I'm just trying so hard to keep pushing and pushing. And
Yeah, but
speaking of like guys like that, is there a guy that you played with or played against that is like, hey, he's not as well known by the general public, but he's a guy that blew me away with his talent or his skill. Maybe he didn't make the big highlights or anything, but just someone that was just unbelievable. You as a professional hockey player recognized his skill and his athleticism, his natural ability.
I might go a little bit out of place here, but when I went to Philadelphia, he's recognizable, but it's Eric Lindros. So the Eric Lindros on the Flyers, a Hall of Famer, a fun inducted of fame, and I'm watching this guy's like 6'5", 230 pounds, and he could skate and he could run this whole game by himself, and the body on him. And I thought, how can you move around so smooth and carrying all this weight, but very good shape physically. He could take control of the whole game. But it's the third, fourth line guys hockey is a sport. Like, it's a team effort. So I don't care how fast or by yourself you can go. We've just noticed last year that McDavid, as much as he tried, as hard as he could not beat Florida Panthers because Florida Panthers came as a team. Now I've noticed this year he's way more, the team's matured more. They're buying into this program. So now I get to see the Hyman, the few other players from Edmonton go, we get it now. We understand he needs us as much as we need him to go get some wins, and they're doing great. Dallas, same thing. Florida. But, the unsung heroes is always sometimes your fifth defenseman, the Lilo DeLine on defense in Montreal, played with Matthew Schneider. And he made a career about protecting Schneider, making all these mistakes. He goes, he was an offensive defenseman. He'd be going out there and he goes, I'd stay back and making sure that no goals were getting scored against. And I get credit. He gets credit for looking good, but he makes sure that Lyle wasn't going to get a minus on these points. But again, it's hockey, like you said, Carson. It's hockey that I would notice more than a not so much hockey fan. The hockey fan will watch the puck and probably focus on the interior, which is normal. But then for me, I focus on other ones. I kind of predict the play before it happens or where it's going to go. But I mean, when we went to Florida, we had the Brian Screwlin, we had the Lindsay in the front, the Armstrong. Like these guys are all what you call, they were rejected for the new expansion team. So they're all released from all individual teams, all 16 teams, I believe, in the league, or 19, and made a hockey team out of it. And we went to the finals within a year and a half. It's unbelievable, right? You create something out of nothing. And John Van Beesbrook came in, and John Vinowski and Niedermeyer on defense. The names are coming to me now, but it was unbelievable run that I saw losing in 96 in the finals to Colorado with Patrick Roy in Colorado. But again, that's what you get your four lines, which is 12 forwards and your 6 defensemen and 2 goaltenders into the lineup, and get out there and trying to win some games.
That's what I always find fascinating about hockey versus a lot of other team sports. Like in American football, right? You're rotating in 1 or 2 guys play. With hockey, you're rotating in lines. You're changing the whole dynamic on the ice. Like it's a fresh
you
line
change your
coming
dynamic.
in.
And the odds too. So if you understand positioning in hockey, you have a left winger, a centerman, and a right winger. But sometimes during the season, I could have switched to the right winger for some reason. Someone's injured. They reward you to bump you to the top line and trying to position somewhere. There's some awesome defensemen that sometimes play defense and forward. And I've seen it with Mitch Marner for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He gets an opportunity to play on the power play on the point, which is not easy as a forward to take another position. But that's what I think I like about hockey is you can move position within the 12-man roster as a forward and try to make the lineup and create and make the team, right? I mean, if you're a guard. It's probably really hard to switch position or even from a quarterback to a linebacker. You can't do that like in football. It's crazy.
Yeah. So you were left wing. Are you right or left-handed?
I'm a right-handed, but I chose to shoot the puck with left. So it comes from a left hockey stick. So which is the blade.
So you mentioned you could play right. Yeah, you said you could play right wing. So there's no really advantage to being left or right-handed in hockey?
Yes, there is, because this is how you can handle the puck coming at you. So if you're left-handed, the puck's should be coming into your strong side. If you're on the other side, it would be coming on your backhand, or you would have to adapt on how they're positioning the pucks. A little bit tricky when you switch sides, but it worked out great for me because on the power play, I would one time it, right? Would shoot harder puck coming at once, or you can position yourself. But at that professional moment, your backhand is just as good as your forehand. You've learned almost like, this is a tough word. Ambidextrous? Ambidextrous, I apologize. Like left or right. These guys, how can they do it? It's like you can switch.
What's a French word for ambidextrous?
Ambidextrous, I don't know. Forget it.
Hey, the audience, he doesn't speak French either.
You wouldn't carry it away.
I know, I wouldn't. So, hey, talking about talent-wise, so, I mean, this past season, Washington, Alex beat Gretzky.
Yes.
Yeah, I was Russian guy, so it was tough for me to root for him. Beat Gretzky's record, the greatest of all time. What's your opinion of him?
He's been great to hockey. I'm going to tell you right now, regardless of what's happening in this world, of the Trump, the Russians, the Canada politics, the sports is the greatest sports. I believe in hockey that we We don't see any of those players where you come from. What you're proud to be I'm proud to be a Canadian as much as Ovi's proud to be a Russian and so forth. But the guy deserved it, man. He broke those
Oh, he's
records.
awesome. Yeah.
These goals he was scoring, they're true, legit goals and unbelievable
Yeah.
power play goals he's scoring. And these goalies are bigger, stronger,
Yeah.
a lot more talented than the old boys with bigger equipment. He would still score these goals. It's just unbelievable.
Well, he probably, so during that time, I mean, Gretzky during his time, Alex during the modern era, who do you think is truly the greatest? Can't really say.
To me, I was fortunate that I got to play against obviously Wayne, and I got Mario Lemieux. It's Mario Lemieux for me was as big, and he just came back from a cancer, which was Hodgkin lymphoma that year. And I'm just looking at him, and he's just going to get a couple of goals. He took 3 years off, and he just looks so natural out there. I go, how can we just didn't notice this guy end up with a breakaway? Look how tall and big he is. Was so much more natural. Again, surrounded by great players. The Jagger was there, the Ron Francis, the Tom Barrasso in net, the Scott Stevens, Kevin Stevens. Those guys won the cup back to back in Pittsburgh that time.
So,
I just to pick back a little bit on where you were. So you were talking, your era versus modern era, and you obviously you're a fan of the game. What's been the kind of big changes you've seen between the eras? Like in basketball, we see a lot of basketball's gone to the 3-point shot. American football has gone to passing offenses. What has been like the change in hockey eras that's been moved to the modern era?
So what we've noticed when I played, and you still see it on the ice, it could be complicated for young viewers or Americans or anyone in the world trying to figure out hockey. There's a red line in the center ice, and that prevents you from icing the puck
yeah.
to the end. There's different rules. During my time, you could not pass that red line without the puck. So that would delay our game a lot more than now that's open ice now. The kids can go from blue to blue, long passes, and there's no much as hooking and grabbing and clutching grab that we had to battle through during my era than what we see today. The game is fast. I believe they should probably. I believe it will come with Joe Snow and anyone get hurt, but I would really like to see some sort of an NBA pick or something, some sort of illegal something you could do in the offensive zone to create more offense by picking somebody and go around and so forth. But again, that is up to Bettman. That is up to to the ownership to decide what to come up with. We just introduced the 3-on-3 now after overtime. They get a chance to go get the 2 points. It's cute, but I think to me the game is long enough. We don't need it anymore. To spend another 20 minutes to get out of the arena or so forth. They should go straight to their shootout and get it over with.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it remains a physical game. That's one of the attractions of hockey is it's still truly a physical game.
It won't go away, but yet during the season, you see the players a little bit more timid than what we see in the playoffs. That's guys are getting hungrier and hungrier. They know they're getting close to win the championship. That's where you see a second person, almost like somebody else, reincarnation out of you. Like you're just a totally different player because playoffs is all about the hype, the fans, the excitement that you're 16 wins away of winning the championship. And now look at Florida tonight. If they clinch, they're 4 games away to win the Stanley Cup again. So that's very exciting. And wishing.
So who are you rooting for?
Be honest with you, since the Maple Leafs got put out, I almost stopped watching the game. I live in Toronto. I'm not a fan of the Leafs, but I do feel sorry for them. Like I do feel for what they've shown in the last 10 years, they should at least moved on to the finals. But I'm a little bit of cheering for McDavid. He's an unbelievable player. But why not for the Panthers, right? I'm an alumni for the Panthers. I'd just like to see some good hockey and making sure the team who wins and advances deserved it and earned it. It's not by a bad penalty, a bad call, or
right.
Things like that don't let the game decide on. Let the players play, right? Let them earn it.
Can you talk a little bit about like your experience during your playoff run? I know you were impactful for that. It was especially as a rookie, like it had to be something going from fresh into the scene and the NHL, and then impacting the Stanley Cup playoff run.
Yeah, for me, and those stories comes after the fact, right? Like years after you're having beers with the reunion and so forth. And our coach was Jacques Demers. pulled in about 7, 8 of their veterans: the Guy Carbonneau, Muller, Bellows, Danfus, Mike Keane, Lilo Deline, and Schneider in their private room, and says, boys, he said, I'm going to have to take about a minute and a half of your ice time, which average of players on the ice should be 14 to 18 minutes on an average of a player of ice earned ice time. He says, I'll take a minute or two out of your ice time so we can play the kids. So when he met kids, he met me, Paul DiPietro, Ed Ronan, Jesse Belanger, and Patrice Brisebois on defense. So that gave us an opportunity to get a little bit of ice time for ourselves to help the team. And the veterans could have said, no way, man, I want my time. They said, we're in, coach, we're in. So that gave us the confidence of these veterans believe in us that, yes, let's have these kids playing. Like they have to learn. That's create some experience. And I earned my power play time. I've earned my ice time. And that's what we jumped on that game and says, believe in ourselves, right? And that's what team was all about. And I really appreciate what they did for me and give me an opportunity of ice time. And like you see in any playoffs, the unsung heroes are not the top guys.
Yeah, to have some veterans like instill that confidence in you has to be something really special. To have guys that are been there, done that. They know what it's all about. To come in, fresh in the league and have these
Correct.
guys have your back. Like that's a pretty special thing.
Yeah, it sure is. And that's why you need to surround yourself with veterans. Like you need to have guys with experience, and that's where they bring it out and bring it up. And I've never been afraid of putting a young player out there. When's he going to learn? Do it now. Do it, right? Oh, you got to get more experience. But anyway, at the end, you're appreciative of the veterans understanding that part in any sports.
What I wanted to ask you too, what made you hang up the skates? Just it was time, your body.
Yeah, I finished playing in Europe, 2 years in Europe, and family time was due and earned. My ex-wife at the time, we had 3 kids, and it was time to come home. We packed our stuff from Cincinnati, Ohio, and moved to Canada, and knew it was getting harder at camp, longer years, frustration, your body can't do it. And you're at the high level. If you don't, you're used to score 40 goals and you're down to 15, 20 goals. What's happening here, right? It's just knowingly, you know what? It's like you said, the training was getting harder. Competition was out there more. And that was it. 34 years old. I called it enough. Did I miss it? The first couple years, yes. But now, I don't miss it at all now. No way. It's too hard. I still play.
We're getting the audio delay, but you mentioned you played in Germany. You played in Germany. What was it like playing like overseas with I assume it was a fairly international team.
Yes, it was. We were allowed 12 imports. So 10 of us were from Canada, Canadian, and a couple American players, French, a couple of Czechs, one Russian. But it was fantastic because, again, you're a whole, once you're on the ice, you're a whole, right? All these guys would come in as a whole team. Don't matter where you're from. You got to play as a team. And it was a fantastic 2 years. Looked after us. The fans were like in football, soccer crowd. It was unbelievable. They would cheer. Some arena had a 3/4 roof. We could see outdoor. We could see outside. Some arena, a beautiful arena that can hold 15 to 20,000 people. But all around the German community was all welcoming and
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a few guys here on my American football team that play locally for a few teams. So it's um it's cool to see the leads out here. They uh they have a lot of fun. We go to their games sometimes. It feels like it's also growing. Like Austria, for me, it's not a huge hockey country, but it's grown a lot. Like they had a lot of recent international success for their program, and so you see it starting to grow outside of the traditionally hockey countries, which is pretty cool.
correct.
Well, I
And
think
that's what
they're also isn't Austria in the World Championships right now? I think there's a hockey tournament going
Yeah,
on now in
yeah.
Europe. I saw Austria. I think they lost, but they were in the tournament and did fairly well.
Yep. Yep. No, it's growing, and that's what we want. We want to expand this. We want it's the greatest game in the world, but it's becoming pricey now. I find it's very expensive playing hockey.
Ice time for
Some
kids.
families will put themselves all in and then hope their kids will make it, but The odds are very, very, very slim. But as long as your child and the young person that wants to play hockey likes it, then go all for it. But other than that, just make sure that these kids don't deserve all this pressure, because it's just a puck, right? It's a game after all. But I love it. So
Good. Yeah. Any of your kids? You have 5 kids, right?
I got 5
Any of them
kids.
play hockey?
My youngest just packed it in. He's 18 years old, but my 20-year-old, 21-year-old is playing one more year of his junior hockey, which is competitive, but not that competitive for him to make a career. But he's going to wrap up this season, and that'll be it for me with the arenas. No more taking kids to the arena.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Thanks for the friendship. I did want to ask you though, and hopefully you can say it. What was your favorite arena and the worst or fan base? I mean, you played in Philly. They're legendary for, you know,
Yes,
aggressiveness, I guess I would say. So I'm
I
assuming it's the
was
same for hockey fans.
I was fortunate. I played the original 6 buildings, so the Chicago Stadium with the stairs to go up and down the stairs. The worst one for me, and because it's our division, it was the Boston Bruins at the Boston Garden. Not a chance in heck that you would get out of there with a nice pack on your shoulder, your back. You're injured. You're coming home beat up, because it was a very small rink, and the bad Bruins, would just take it to you. The great arenas, listen, the Forum was by far won a classic one, and the Quebec Nordiques. So when Quebec had a team, the Nordiques, which end up going to Colorado, great hot dogs, very, very nice hot dogs. A good crowd, by the way. It was a big rivalry, so it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's funny.
Now they
Jeez.
have big buildings, eh? Now they host
Great
massive.
hot dogs.
Yeah, they're great hot dogs.
Oh, Carson, any questions for Bert or Gilbert?
No, it was awesome having you on, and appreciate you chatting. It's always fascinating. I'm a fan of sports. Right? I grew up with main core American sports,
Yes.
baseball, football, basketball. Learning more. I love watching hockey. I've tried to follow it as much as I can, and I like the deeper understanding of games. Like that's where you really start to have fun and really start to enjoy watching something, is when you really start to understand it. So it was great hearing,
Well, that's
stuff
great.
from you, and picking your brain.
Well, and Carson, I will say he is not just a hockey fan, but I did want to tell Carson Gilbert is also a baseball fan. I've seen him at the Blue Jays games, and I'm assuming
Yeah.
a Raptors fan too. So
Yes.
it's all around for him. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'd like to compliment you on your work with charities and also participating in all the alumni games. I mean, I'm pretty impressed. Not you're younger than I am, that you're still out there on the ice with the alumni guys. You do a lot of charity work. Like I said, you have a pretty good social following.
Yeah.
So kudos to
Yeah.
you, and keep it up. And one last thing, you can either say yes or nod your head. I saw a video, and it looks like somebody's man cave, and it's got everything from Montreal Canadiens. Is that your place? Okay.
I
It
did a
looked gorgeous. I
TikTok.
go, man, I can't believe Bert hasn't invited me to that place. It's got everything from ping pong to jerseys to beer taps. I was like, damn, that looks impressive.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. His name is Sunil Patuk, and Sunil's been a super Hab fan of the Canadians, and I went to stay at his place, and we became friends since. And he does too a lot of charity for the Canadians and raise money. And his basement's worth over $600,000 of stuff. It's unbelievable. A lot of stuff.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, with
Alrighty.
that,
Well,
we'll
sounds
have to
good.
let it go. But yeah, really appreciate it.
Sounds
We'll
good.
be seeing each other soon, Bert. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me on, Carson. I appreciate it.
Hey, this is Carson again. I wanted to jump in at the end of this episode and give another special thanks to Gilbert Dionne for joining us. It was awesome hearing your stories and having you on, and I really appreciated it. For all those listening, please go give him a follow on his social media. His Instagram is gilbert.dionne.93, as in Stanley Cup champion 1993, or the year I was born. So go check him out. Follow him on social media for a great time. And thanks for tuning in.